Hello everyone, welcome to lecture number 5 of CS 527. So in today's lecture we'll try to understand the concept of how to load one process from another process. So again I'll use some examples to explain you all this concept, and the theoretical part is written in books, so I'll advise you to read the theoretical part by yourself. But at least I'll quickly go through all this concept written in the book, but I'll not explain it in detail. But once after finishing today's and tomorrow's lecture, the tomorrow's lecture will be based on signal processing, signal handling. Sorry. So after completing signal handling, if you read this chapter, everything will be clear to you. I hope every you will understand all the concept written in this book. So what I am doing today, if I'm writing a program step by step, and it is almost similar as the previous program that I'll create. This is the skeleton of this project. So you have to follow this project from the beginning, because otherwise maybe the program will be lengthy and I cannot show you the complete program at a time in the screen. So this is the initial program. All the header files are there, and there is a main file. Main file is doing nothing, just calling a function, and then all the concept will be written in this function. What I'll do in this function, I'll write a uh, I'll I'll try to create one child process, only one child process I'll try to create, and that child process will do something else that I will explain. So let us start the code. What I will do. So first of all, I'll use one variable for a process ID, PID P1, and then I'll use one integer called status. Then let me create the process. If I do this, after this, from line number 10, two processes will simultaneously execute it. Line number 10, right? So how to distinguish that which is child, which is parent? So you have to write if p1 equal to 0, then this means this part, inside this if part, is only executable by a child. And what I want that line number 12 should not execute by child. Line number 12 should be executed by parent. So what, for this, what we need to do here, at last line of if should be exit 0. If last line of this if is exit 0, it means that I am creating a child here. Child will execute whatever it will do inside the if, and at the last line of this if statement, that is line number 11, child process is exiting. So child process will never come at line number 13. So only parent process will be here. So what parent process will do here, parent process will wait for this, wait PID. Okay, so the code is simple. I'm not doing anything in parent process. What I want to do, I want to do something in the child process. So previously, suppose if I was writing like this, printf, and then if I'm writing like this, uh, hello world, this is child process. And what will happen if I try to run this code? This program will, the at line number 10 there will be two process, and child process will print hello world, this is child process, and then it will exit. And the parent process will only print this parent process ends, and then it will exit. But before terminating the parent process here at line number 14 will wait for terminating the child process. So why for waiting the child process, wait PID, zombie process, and all these things are already discussed in class, right? So I'm not going in that detail. So what I'm trying to discuss is, see, whenever we create a child, if we just try to understand the concept of client server model of nowadays. So what is a server? How server works? In server there is a, what you can say, there is a thread. Instead, it's actually thread, but we can consider more, we'll discuss it in terms of process. Now suppose in server there is a process running. Every time it is waiting for a request. The moment it will get a request, it will create a child process, and then the child process should execute something, and server will is the main process is again waiting for another request. So this child process sometime, it needs to be performed different types of works. Not every time it will do the same work. For example, here, if I assume that this is a process, this terminal is a process, okay, and if I write here ls, it is doing something. right? So it means that this process is running. The moment you give any command, it can execute that. So if I write here a dot out, okay, it is executing this program a dot out, right? It means that, so in this folder there is already a program called hello. So what I'll do here, I'll make this lines comment. I'll explain this next. It is not required now. Hello world, and I think these will not be required now. Okay, this is a simple program. So if I run that program, gcc hello, sorry, I'm in a different folder, so it's in, it's in okay, gcc hello dot c minus o hello. Okay, so now we can, if we run hello, it is printing hello world, right? So what I'm trying to explain here, it's a simple program. I'm not trying to explain the syntax of this simple program. I'm trying to explain something else. What I'm trying to explain here, this is a program, right? Terminal is also a program. It's a process. It's a process running on the computer. So now there is a process running on the computer. At the moment you write here dot hello and press enter, it's a different process, right? So one process is loading another process. From this process you can load hello. This is a different process. So now how can you do it from our own program? So this is a terminal, right? So instead of terminal, if we have our own process running, for example, this example 2 is our own program, and we'll run this parent process will run. So what we want to do, that we want to create a child process, and that child process can from that child process we can load any other process. So first what I will do here, I will use a uh, line uh, so what I am doing here, before creating the child process, in parent process only I am entering a command. I'm saying user to enter a command, and I'm taking some input through the scanf. It I'm taking in a string as a input. So and after this there is a child process here. So what I will do, what I will enter through a command, I'll try to enter through a command this any function, and any other program. So for example, this is the example.c. So from example.2.c I'll try to load this executable, and so that I can execute it from here. So in child, what I'll write if exec. First, let me complete this code and execute it, and after execution, I'll explain the logic to you. Okay, so there is a warning, but the program is executed now. So let me run this program. So if I run this program, see at line number 12, I think at line number 12, it is waiting for some command. So if I give any command here, so that command will be, it will try to execute. So what I'll give here, that the program that is running is example2.c. I've compiled it and I'm running it now. So now here I'll write the name of this program. So if you cannot just give the file name of this program, so what actually you need to give is the executable file of this hello. So that is already created in the folder. If we go to the folder, you can see hello is already created. So we have already compiled hello.c and already compiled the executable file hello. So we'll give this hello as a parameter here. So if I give hello as a parameter here, then what will happen, then child process will start executing hello. See, the child process has executed this program hello world is not written in this program. Let me show you the code of example.2.c. See, in example2.c hello world is not written. So what is happening here, after creating the child process here at line number 15, let's see, we have entered this string hello, right? So at line number 16, this it is loading a different process. It is loading this hello executable file here, and it will start executing that process. The child will execute a different process from here. Okay, and after terminating this process, child will also terminate, and then parent is waiting at line number 21. That part I hope you are understanding. So after this, parent will also complete. So the main important part here is how one program is loading another program. So in this particular case, this child process at line number 15 is loading another program. How? Using this function execve. This is the function. So this detail about this function is written in this book. You can also study it from internet. So there are basically three parameters here. First parameter is the command, then second parameter is the command line parameters that I will explain, and there this last is for environment variable, which is not very important for you, but command line parameter is important, and we'll discuss an example with command line parameter also. So basically this function can be used to load any other program. So the same thing is happening here. So this is a process. Terminal is also a process. If you write ls, it is executing ls command in similar fashion. Okay, so if you write a dot out, it will try to out execute this executable. So this is a process, and this process can execute another process. The same thing is happening here. What I'm doing here, this is a process running, and this process can execute another process. So if okay, so if we run this code here from a dot out like this, and if I write here ss, suppose so, and then if you run, so it is saying command not valid, and command not valid, and then it is printing this line number 18. It is showing hello world. So actually I have modified this code, so that's why it is saying old code. Let me compile it again. Okay, I have compiled it again. Let me run it again. Now, if I write SSS, this is a command I'm giving, but that command, there is no such executable file exist with this command here. So if you try to run it, it will say command not valid, and then it will print this line number 18 as a child process, and then child process will exit. But if we give, let me run it again. If we give hello, then we have an executable file called hello, right? So the moment you press enter now, hello is a different executable, which is the object, and this object file, the program of the executable of this program file. So it will execute this particular program, and after executing this particular program, when it will return, it will not return here. Okay, so after executing this, you can see here, if hello is loading by line number 15, then after completing the this program here in example.2.c, it is not printing line number 18. This is important to observe. What I am saying, that a line number 15, the child is loading hello.c, that is fine. So it will execute hello.c. So when it is returning from that, then it should print line number 18 also, but it is not printing line number 18. See, so what is actually happening, it is not actually calling this hello world process. So this line number 15 is not calling as a function to this program. What it is doing, it is replacing the child process with that hello process, means the complete content of this process. So what is the content of a process? Address space. The complete address space of child process is replacing with the address space of hello. So that it means that once this is start executing hello, then all these things are not at all existed in the address space. That has been removed. So that's why this complete thing is now converted to hello dots content of hello.c. So the moment the hello.c is done over, child execution is also over. Okay, I hope this point you will remember. So now let me show you something else. What I will do here, I'll just print an infinite loop here. While one, this is an infinite loop, right? So let me compile it again. Gcc hello.c minus o hello. Hello, I think for sleep I need. Now let me run a dot out again. A dot out means example2.c. I'll write example2.c, which is already compiled in a dot out. Okay, example2.c is running, and it is saying enter a command. So here I will give hello as a command. Before giving this, let me show you one thing here. Now go for psaf. If you go for psaf, then you can see there is only one process there. Now this example is, we are executing this program, so only this program, a dot out of this program is executing, and process number is 9491. 9491. Okay, so after this, when you will start executing the child process, what is happening, let me add one more logic here in this program to make this example more clear to you. Okay, so the logic added here at line number 15 and 16 is very easy. What I am doing here, I'm just using a scanf here, so that this control will wait for the user to enter as something. So my main intention here is to wait this program here for some time. That's why I'm using scanf, but this line will be used in next example. So I'm doing both tasks together. Okay, it has compiled already. Let me run it again. So it is again running. So at this point when it is running, if I go here and start, see, only parent process executing and process number is 9599. It is running at core number 1. Okay, so now if I write here hello and press enter, then what is happening? It is waiting for me here. Now this child process is already created. So now what exactly, how what is the situation now? Situation is now there are two process, parent and child. Parent is waiting at line number 23 for terminating the child, and child is waiting at line number 16 for the user to enter something. So it is, I have to enter something here, then only child process will start executing, right? Because it is waiting for this scanf. So at this point, if you check the process status, there are two process now, client, this is parent and this is the child. How you can say the child? Because you can see the parent of this child is written here. Parent is this, which is this one. So this is the parent process, this is the child process. Second arrow out is the child process. So now here if I write anything and press enter, so I'm not doing anything. 15 16 are just dummy line, as I've said, but I have just added it to wait the child process here. So the moment I press enter, it will start executing the hello program. See, it is executing the hello world program, hello.c program, right? But why it is executing hello.c program? Because of line number 17. But you, if you remember that hello.c is now running at infinitely, right? You can see here hello.c is running infinitely. So the child process is keep on executing now, executing that process, hello.c hello process. And the parent at line number 23 is keep on waiting that the child will terminate, but that child process will never terminate because now the child process is executing hello. Okay. And the another important part that I have explained you, that the moment this line loaded another process here, then the content of this complete child process will be replaced by the address space of the loading process. So it will just exit means terminating the child, means when hello.c will terminate, then only it will terminate. So now if we can run this again, you can see the previously, if we expand it a little bit, see, previously it was a dot out, child was a dot out before executing line number 17. When I was waiting at line number 16, the both process were the child process was a dot out. But after executing line number 17, and now when the hello.c is running as a child, now you can see the child process name is changed. Previously it was a dot out, now it is hello, right? And the process name remains same, process name is same, but in this, in the same process, a new process is loaded with the same process id. I hope it is clear. It is interesting, right? Previously, before just line number 16, the process name was errored out, process ID was same, but now after line number 17, when the new process is loaded in child, so now the child process is replaced with hello. So since child process is replaced with hello, there is no content available here for the from a dot out. So this complete content in child is completely removed, and now in this place hello is now executing. So when the hello will terminate, so when the hello will terminate, the complete child is terminated. It's not like the hello is terminated means your control will return here and you will start executing from line number 20. This is not possible. This is the only concept. That's why I'm saying the complete process is replaced with hello. So the terminating hello means terminating the child process. And before, without terminating the child process, the parent process is keep on waiting in line number 23, right? So how to kill child process? We are not explicitly, we don't have any terminal. If we have any terminal where child process is running, I think this terminal is running the child process, right? Yes. So if we press control c here, then I think the child process will terminate, but I will not do it. I will send a command to terminate it, kill. And what is the id of child process? 9602. 9602. The moment I send this, what I am doing, I'm terminating the hello program. So if the hello program is terminated, it means what? That the child process is terminating, and line number 23 where parent is waiting will get this terminating information, and then it will start execute, and it will finally print line number 26. So let's see what is happening here. Keep an eye here when I press enter here. See, it is printing parent process ends. So wait at line number 3 is over because child is terminated, and then parent process ends. This line will execute. So I hope this loading concept, that is the concept of this function, is clear. It is a more it is written in more detail if you go to the book. I have to, so it is your duty to understand, read the complete theoretical part and understand its different usability of this function. Okay, so now what I will do here, I'll try to explain what are these parameters, or how we can use these parameters. Null, I'll not use these are the environment variable, but at least the command line parameters, this argument I will explain. Okay, so now we'll check that how we can load a program, a program having with command line parameters in a from another process. So here there is a program, you can see there is a program, and if you are, I think you know this concept. If it is new to you, just line command line parameter and see and Google it and try to clear this concept. This is important, but it's a bit entry level thing, so I'm not explaining it in detail. So what I am doing here, this program, so let me I think the program is already running, means already compiled. So and it is stored as hello. So if I run this program, like normally how we'll run a program, only we'll write dot slash hello, but with this I can also supply some arguments here. These are called arguments. So there are three arguments here. First one is hello, which, so we can say that every time we supply only one argument, but here I'll supply two more, Sachin and Saurabh. So if you see here integer main, this first arg dot c, it's the integer saying how many arguments are there. So if at this moment if I send it, let me add one more, Zahir. Okay, this is issue of terminal. See, it is now Zahir is completely showing. So how many arguments are the value of argc is now 4. There are 4 arguments here. Okay, and then line number 4 will print hello what is and what is the output of this for loop. The for loop is one by one. It is printing all the arguments. See, argument I, this argv is a array of string. It's not an array of character. It's an array of string. So one by one it will print all the strings. So first it is the first argument, second argument, third argument, fourth argument, it will print all this. So see, if I run this program here, hello world is printing my line number 4, and then this for loop is printing one by one all these arguments. So why these arguments are required? Because sometimes we need to pass some information with the program which are required to perform some execution in this. So for this command line parameter is required. So how we can execute this, load this type of program from another program? For example, here from example2.c, I want to run this program hello, which has some command line parameter values. So what for this, what I will do, I'll slightly change this program. It will be almost same, but you can even without changing, it is also possible to work. But just for clarity purpose, I am doing some small modification. Okay. So basically, what is happening? See, command is not required at parent now. So parent will just create one child and entering command, and everything is handling by child. So here in child process there is a line of, it's a string, right? Let me go for 80 here, and then it is saying enter the target program here. So target program will be entered as a string. So now let me change it to this. I hope you will understand why I am doing this, right? I hope you are getting it now. So I want to enter a complete string with space also. If you go for scanf percentage, it will only enter a particular word. No, a space will not be allowed. I want a complete line. So this will allow me to add a complete line like this. I want to add this line, hello Sachin Saurabh Zahid, right? Okay, so this line is, I can enter like this. Okay, and after this what I need to do, I need to part it into two, I need to divide it into two parts. Okay, so let me go for line is there. So first of all, let me go for one token, t o token. Okay, and what I'll do here, token equal to strtok. I hope you know what is called strtok. If you don't know, read it. strtok will uh, divide or divide the string that I am entering through line into multiple parts, and based on which it will separate, based on space it will separate. So if this is your string hello Sachin Saurabh Zahir, then it will divide into multiple parts. First part will be hello, then Sachin, then Saurabh, then Zahir. Okay, so token is the first will be here. So what I'll write here is cmd is token. Oh, cmd is not here, let me use one star cmd also. Cmd is token. Okay, and then I'll write while uh, token not equal to null, then I'll go for, okay, I need a curly brace here. I need a variable like integer I equal to 0. Then what I'll do here, token, I hope this is clear to you. If it is not clear, then you can do one thing. You can pause my video here and try to understand what I'll scroll the program from the beginning. These are just header files. Okay, these at line number 10 I'm creating the parent process. So more important part is coming from line number 11, from where I'm creating the child process, and all the actually additional logic are in the child process. Starting from line number 12, I'm using a line, then I'm taking a line as an input, then here I'm just up from here I'm parsing this line and storing it and in a array. So that array is not here. Let me define this array also. This array is star star argv, or you can say I'll go for a array of pointers. Suppose array of pointer is 20. So maximum value of how many pointers can be stored here? 20 pointers. So one by one I'm storing these pointers here. Okay, so now here I can pass this argv. Now let me run this code. I hope um, there is no error. Gcc example2.c. Whoa, there is no error. Dot out. So here with hello I can also pass Sachin, Saurav, Sahir. Run this code. See, the magic is from here what is happening is, when this program line number 23 is loading hello, it is also passing the command line parameters here, and this is, you can see this for loop is now printing all these parameters Sachin, Saurabh, Zahir. So I hope this part is also clear to you, that how when you are loading a program, if this program is command line parameters, how to pass it. So you need to do some kind of parsing here. So if you see the book, in textbook there is a program written, there is a peak program written, and there are separate function written for how to handle these lines and all. But ultimately they are also doing the same thing that what I am doing here, creating this argv array of strings actually, and then passing it to this function. So I hope you will read this book and try to understand the program written there also. But the program that I have written here is a simplified version of that program. Okay, so all this, I think everything is clear. Now the last point that I'll discuss today is, it's a function that is not written in book, but it is very helpful, and maybe when you'll do your assignment, you'll be required to use that function. So what is this function? Suppose here when we'll use a command ls, it is showing this. Sometimes we can send some option also with this, like ls minus l, it is showing like this. Then ls minus o, it will show something else. If we go for main ls, then you can see that there are many options available, right? For ls command there are many options available. You can give many options. So now if I go for another one, for example grep command that I have shown you, grep minus inr, and if I want to search main, and then I say star, then it is showing all the main the word main in all the files in this folder and its subfolders, right? And so if I change inr to write like r and I, do you think the program will output will change? See, output is same. So it means that you just need to pass this option, that r, n, and I. R has a meaning, n has a meaning, I has a meaning, but the ordering is not important. So all the options, when we what we pass to the program makes, most of the time the options are like this. So how to handle this type of options from your program. If you want to if you want to write your own program, and in your own program you want to give this type of options. For example, if you go for grep manual of this grep command, you can see there are many options possible. Minus b, minus e, minus g, you can combine multiple options together. Here you can see I was combining minus I, n, and r. So you will also find minus I means what, ignore cases. Why I have used minus n, you will also get here. So there are many options possible. So suppose if I told you that no, you have to write a C program, and that C program also must have a manual like this. Or you can say, what I'll say, don't use the grep command of in Linux kernel. You have to use your own grep command, and you have to do everything as it is like the existing grep command. So what you have to do, you have to implement all these options, and your code should also able to handle, if I give these options, if I ignore one option, then also it should handle, right? One way is this is the program that I have written here. It's a vanilla program means you have to handle everything from your scratch, that you have to write, you have to go for strtok, and then you have to parse the string, and then maybe you will apply some regular expression, and then you'll find all the meaning of all these things. That is one part that you can also do, but instead of this you can use one function, and that function is written, I think, here, get opt function. You can use this function, get opt. I'll not explain it in detail, but what I'm expecting from your side, that you go to internet and search it, the get opt, you will find it. So get opt means here there will be additional while loop here for if you in your program, if you want to pass some command line variables. Suppose there are some command line parameter you will pass, anything will write here, it will go as a command line parameter, and then there will be a while loop here. That while loop will parse this command line parameter for you. And the syntax of this while loop is very easy. What you need to supply here, that all these options that you need to supply will be written here. For example, if I run this particular code, so this is in a different folder. Let me go to that folder, cd, and it is in, I think, in which folder? It is in get opt folder. Okay, c get of gcc get. So now if I run this code, I can also send some option with this a dot out, and which are the options here? Ignore this first colon. After the first colon, I can go for either I, L, R, X. These are simple option. And after F, there is a colon. It means if you supply F, then you have to supply a value for F also. So I'll go for here for I, X. Okay, sorry, minus I, X. Okay, and for minus F, I have to supply a value because it's a file name. So maybe my file dot txt. If I run this code, see, here in this switch case, it is handling all this option. What do you understand by I? If it is I, then switch case will come here. If it is R, then it will switch case will arrive here. If it is X, then switch case will also handle it like this. And if it is a file F file name, then it will go here, and this printing file name is this. Okay, so what is opt, arg, and all these are the syntax of get opt function. I'm not explaining it. Is I don't think it is my responsibility, because this concept of this function is there in internet, but this function will really help you in your assignment and all. So let me show you another program here. In this program, what I am doing here, there are program has two function. One is calculating the area of a triangle, another is calculating area of a rectangle. Okay, and every time I'm supplying just a and b, two values, and based on these two values, sometime it is calculating area of a triangle, and sometime it is calculating area of a rectangle. So what I am doing here in command line parameter, when I'll pass the value of a and b, with this I'll also pass either t or r. Okay, you can see here I'm also passing t or r, integer a or b. I'm passing. So here I think maybe I need to also write b colon. Let me write this code. Sorry, compile this code. It is get opt example.c. Okay, let me run this code. First of all, I want to execute the area of a rectangle. So I'll write minus r. Okay, and then minus a is suppose 20, minus b is 10. So what should be the area of a rectangle? 20 into 10, right? So it should be 200. See, it is printing, the result is 200. So now same program, if I run, and sorry, let me go for a clear command. then you'll understand it. Now if I this same thing, if I run but not for R but for T, then the value will be different. See, the value is different. So if I am supplying T, then it is calculating it for triangle. If I am supplying R, it is calculating for rectangle. So these type of options you need also need to supply when you write a program. So how to handle this power, these parameters? The best ways to handle is use a function like this get opt. There are other functions also exist. Get opt is one of them. Okay, so I'm stopping this lecture here. So the important part of this lecture is only how to load a process. So I have maybe I've spent some compared to the actual content. I've spent more time on this. It should not be a complete lecture. I just need to should have explained you in one or two lines and should skip this. But I thought at the beginning I should spend some time on the initial concepts. So the next class will be based on signal handling, and after signal handling, I think the majority part of this chapter will be completed. So after that, you can read this chapter, and I hope you will understand all the concept mentioned in this book. Okay, thank you for watching this video. I'm stopping it here.